Welcome to the Game Corner, another video game podcast. My name is Harrison. You might know me online as Rerix, and I'm joined, as always, by friend and co-host
Rowan. You might know me as Mocha. Unfortunately, not always. Been gone for the last couple weeks, but the Super Bowl's over. Taylor Swift won, so I'm back.
I'm so happy that T Swift won her first Super Bowl. It's so good. For
the world, show that you don't have to be all that big or strong. You just
have to
be Taylor Swift.
Be Taylor Swift, yeah. Who doesn't want to be Taylor Swift? They did, for all you Swifties out there, they did show her only 13 times, which is just so good. Despite the fact they did pan or look at the box where she was more than 13 times, but also she just wasn't there. So I don't know. There's something about that. She's a
God, give us content. So there were so many people like Twitter afterwards thinking that it was rigged was just so fantastic. I was just like, this is more entertaining than the game by a wide margin.
I'm not big on sports at all, really. I didn't like this Super Bowl. Like, I was definitely playing Yakuza Like a Dragon on the Steam Deck whenever the Super Bowl was happening, and then when the commercials were on, I'd pay attention. So that's where I was. But wait, did you see what Nickelodeon was doing?
The SpongeBob thing? Yeah. I watched a bit of that. I thought it was cute. It was like, but it had to last for like the whole Super Bowl, and it was on a kid's channel, so it couldn't be that funny. But yeah, like, you know what I heard? It's like what I've heard what people said about this Super Bowl is it's the one that we got robbed in Atlanta, however many years ago when I was on. God, it was a while. I think I was on my honeymoon during the Atlanta Super Bowl, but yeah, like it was the year that Tom Kenny died, and it was in Atlanta, and we got Maroon 5. It was awful. This year we got all Atlanta artists and stage crews and SpongeBob.
Yeah,
Sweet Victory. Yeah, that was our Super Bowl.
And Sweet Victory. Oh, was so good.
Yeah.
That was the 2019 Super Bowl. Would be the one you're thinking of then if it was.
Yeah, that checks out. I got married at the end of 2018, so yeah.
Sure. Cool. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense when you put that into that perspective. But yeah.
Anyway, that's enough sports ball for one Pokemon podcast, I think, right?
Yeah, probably.
We hit our quota. Awesome.
We're video games, not real sports. Anyway, on that note, how are you doing? It's been a bit.
I'm alive. I got through the work crunch. So yeah, I'm just playing a bunch of Pokemon. Honestly, like I think that Reg E, or what are we on F now? Is it F? We're on Reg F. Reg F is, I think, my favorite format this generation, which is wild because up until this point I was saying that like A, B, C couldn't have been beaten, but I think I'm like, this has finally balanced into something that I really enjoy. It's starting to click with me. Even the games that I lose are fun. Yeah, it's just gotten balanced, and like there is a meta, so there's something to prep for, but it's not like rigid. You have to play this. There are tons of different cool archetypes that work. In fact, like maybe a touch too many, but that just makes it fun. Like I don't know. I've been having a great time playing the game, even though, like I was saying at Charlotte, I still haven't opened up my Switch outside of a regional in like to play Pokemon for like a year.
Sure. Yes. That tracks. Yeah. So you have actually been playing a lot of Showdown as of late?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I've been playing the most boring balanced stuff ever, but like, see, just kind of getting used to it because I don't know what I'm going to play in Orlando yet. Which, by the way, at the moment of recording, registration for Orlando is tomorrow, Valentine's Day at 7 p.m. Do not miss that. I suspect it's probably going to be even bigger than Knoxville. Like
it should be huge.
Sorry, even bigger than Charlotte. But if not, it'll still be very close. Like expect 800 to 900 players if they have the space for us.
Yes, and unfortunately, this announcement comes the day after registration opens. So if you listen to this and haven't registered and you want to register, go check RK9 now.
Yeah, if you find yourself locked out, generally spots do open up later. In fact, I've heard that they even intentionally hold spots back to be given to people who couldn't make it the first day.
That's probably a smart way to do it, really.
Yeah. But yeah, I expect it to be really big. I'm looking forward to it. Like I'm kind of at the point now where I think I just kind of want to go to regionals that my friends are going to be at, and like I just enjoy myself whether I do well or not. Whereas like if you go alone, I mean, there's always people like I've I think we've all been in this community long enough that like there's a handful of folks you're gonna know at any given event, but like if it's only a handful of people that you know tangentially, then if you do bad, it is a really not a good time.
Yeah, I mean, like I think we said this a lot after Charlotte. We're like, we just want to go hang out with our little group of friends who we all travel together or to the same place, Airbnb together, like all that fun stuff. And
the raw experience of being in that convention center and playing a game every hour with no social interaction is actually awful. Like this is why we flat out tell our partners not to come with us. Like, you're not going to enjoy yourself.
It's baffling that the worst part about regionals is playing Pokemon.
No, it's the Pokemon part is fine. It's the like if I could be playing games back to back to back to back, even if I lost, even if I went negative, I think I would be able to like immerse myself in the game enough that I would still be mad, but like it would be fine.
Oh, you mean without the like?
If you start doing badly, then the 40 minutes or whatever you have to sit and stew in it until your next match actually sucks.
No, okay, that's fair. I can see that. The unfortunately, there's no way to like change that, right? With a format of tournament.
It's not the tournament's fault. It's just this is the nature of like being a no-lifer who travels to these things and plays it. But like, yeah, I've had a couple events where I like traveled and only knew a few people and did well, and it was fine. I enjoyed myself, and I've had a few where it's just like, why am I here? And generally, those will be the ones that you have to travel for. So you're waiting for your flight no matter what. Like you're not getting out of there until it's time.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's I don't know. I think Mike and Kevin on Pokesports they started saying that they're casual competitive players, and I'm like,
which I think is cool too. Yeah.
Yep. Nope. That's what I think I'm gonna fall into as well. I'm gonna try. I have like almost 2 months. It feels like between.
It is almost 2 months. I would say now is the time to really get used to the format and maybe start like seriously building in a month. But yeah.
So there's plenty of time to honestly, for me, it'll be procrastinate.
Plenty of time to waste a bunch of time until it's a week before the event.
Yeah, and then I'll do that again. So no, I will not have a repeat of Charlotte. But I mean, Orlando's gonna be fun. It's gonna be. Well, I mean, it's my backyard. So
once again, hit me up whenever you would like to actually start prepping.
Yeah, I should do that. I gotta find some teams that I want to copy. Speaking of which,
I enjoy tryharding this, but I think I've gotten out of the point of like associating my ego with this game now. Like it's really like I really think that it's a beautiful game. Like I enjoy all the intricacies and like learning about it and seeing all the cool stuff. But like I'm probably not going to be like some kind of champion, and that is okay. Like that I have seen how hard the people who do accomplish those things work, and they deserve it. And we just all have different priorities in life on that one.
Oh, absolutely. And like, I mean, even to bring it closer to home here, like I've seen how much like you and PA will work on a team or whatever. And I think that's kind of
that's mid effort, right? That's 6-3 effort right there.
Right. Yeah. But it's still like that's a lot of time that I can't scrounge that much time together between other hobbies and just life in general, work. And I'm like, holy crap. I almost said a cricket tune there. But like, holy crap, you guys are putting that much effort in, and 6-3 is like, it's still good, don't get me wrong, but it's still only 6-3, right?
Which you've gotten a 6-3 before. You can totally get a decent result like without the prep sometimes. But yeah, it is what it is. Do you want to talk about Dortmund real quick, and then we could maybe talk about other video games?
Absolutely, yeah. So last weekend, I just lost it. I just lost it. Okay.
I really hope Dortmund is how you say that. I think it's how you say that. It's in Germany anyway.
It's Dortmund, but maybe angrier. So February 10th and 11th, it was Dortmund regionals, over in Dortmund, Germany. 551 players. They had 551 masters. And it was like a time. I think this is the third, maybe fourth regional in a row where you look at the number one slot here on Victory Road, and it's just a bunch of wet leaves. It's a bunch of Ogre-Pons.
So first of all, I mean, this has been happening for several regionals now, but I think it is firmly cemented that Water Ogre-Pon is the queen. Like,
yep,
Water Ogre-Pon and Flutter, but Water Ogerpon overtook Flutter. That is how good the
Oh
spawn
yeah.
is in the
Do
current
we have
format.
those
It's just
stats?
it is so consistent. It has so many tools. It is I almost rate it instant level at this point. If I'm being frank, like what
I'm just looking at the stats for the days, the top 12 usage for day 1, day 2.
you looked thoroughly shocked. Like
I am for thoroughly shocked.
someone ran over your dog.
This
Yeah,
is the first time we've seen Fluttermane under 50% usage ever.
49.0 on day 2.
49.0 on day 2.
Yeah.
With freaking Water Ogerpon taking that number 1 day 2 slot at 61.2%. That's Fluttermane numbers.
Yeah. I would say, yeah, it really is. It's Incineroar numbers, which is higher than Incineroar. But this day 2, this day 2 graphic is entirely like this is the meta right here summed up. I think the Waterpon, like the other big thing is Waterfoo is gone. Waterfoo made it to the day 1 graphic, gone by day 2. It is just pushed out of the meta, and that's partially because
of Waterpon.
Because Waterpon is so dominant now. And Raging Bolt is the other big thing. So I think people couldn't really figure out how they wanted to run Bolt. Like I ran it lefties Calm Mind at Charlotte, and it did decently for me there. Like I know a lot of people kind of gravitated towards
the AV set's really popular.
Yeah, so that's what I'm getting to. Yeah, a lot of people gravitated towards special attack booster sets of a lot of different varieties. But yeah, now AV is 100% the play. AV, Terra Fairy, and Snarl are the 3 things that are in common with almost every Bolt. There's still some adjustments you can make. Some people will run Electroweb over Thunderbolt, which is pretty interesting. Like you can just spam this speed control with decent chunking on people, like turn after turn, and then you bring in your sweeper afterwards. And even if they have Tailwind, if you put down 3 Electrowebs, you're still faster than them. And they have to reset Tailwind too. And Bolt does not die to things like unless you need super effective damage and strong super effective damage. Like if you have AV, it can take an Earth Power from Landorus. Like it's wild.
Really?
Yeah.
So I realized something that came out of Charlotte, and then I'm as I've been watching some of the stuff from the last few regionals and obviously this conversation here, and just everything that we've seen. It really seems like the longer your neck is, the less you die. Because Farigiraf also, I took Farigiraf in on Charlotte, and I was shocked at how, because I prepped so much.
It has respectable bulk, and you've run it bulky.
Yeah.
So the really cool thing about bulks is that you do invest a lot in bulk, but now so there's so many cool meta things I want to talk about. First off, AV bolts are starting to speed creep each other pretty aggressively, actually, because whoever snarls first establishes dominance in that too, right? Yeah. Whoever E-webs first can now be really important. That one's a little less so, but the snarl is pretty big, right? Especially because if the other person chooses to get aggressive and click Draco instead of snarl, then you've put them at -1 and you live, and then they're at -3 actually after the Draco. Right. Granted, clicking Draco into an opposing Bolt is really risky now because they all run Terra Fairy.
Sure.
Yeah, but so okay, the big thing I want to talk about though is in Eric Rios and another person that he played with, I think Alex Gomez, they both brought this Kommo-o, Incineroar, Amoonguss, Tinglu P2 team. This is the same core that made it to, I want to say, top 4 at Knoxville. And Toller, who won the whole event there, completely demolished it on stream with setup Goldie. Like, there was absolutely nothing they could do. So it's a really cool team because you have this Kommo who sets up Iron Defense and gets stab body press with Iron Defense. And then it also has, it resists Urshifu Dark with its fighting typing, which is, like one of the biggest things in the meta now. And like which crits through, and it can crit through its Iron Defenses, but it doesn't care because it resists the Wicked Blow in the first place.
Sure.
And then it resists Fire, Water, Grass because it's Dragon. So it's just really, really good into the meta. The only thing that it's scared of is Fluttermane, and then you have this whole team that deals with Fluttermane. You have Incineroar, you have Tinglu. But if you set up a Goldango in its face, then it's just kind of useless. It can't body press the Goldango. It doesn't get any higher on its special defense, and it just gets Make It Rained after they get to set up as many nasty plots as they feel like. But the adjustment they brought this time, so that just lost hard in Knoxville. And this time we all thought that it was just going to be pushed out of the meta after that because it was on stream and it was just so brutal. Like It wasn't like the Toller's opponent played badly. They just couldn't do anything about it. And this time, like Eric Rios and Alex Gomez brought it again, like really good players, but they brought the Specs Goldie on there as their sixth to account for that. And so suddenly you have this Specs Goldango that can do a big Specs Shadow Ball into your Goldie. And if you tear a fairy away from it, then it can Specs Make It Rain onto your fairy Goldango. So it just kind of solved that matchup in one like with one little adjustment. It's kind of wild. So you do have to account for that combo setup stuff now. That was a lot. Anyway, yeah, that was like the meta story I saw here. The winner is also a really interesting team too, just kind of like taking 4 of the most common mons and then just tacking Bear Giraffe onto the end of it, and it worked.
Giraffe was also a common mon. Like let's be real.
I guess just like Bear Giraffe is usually built around Bear Giraffe. Like either it's hard Trick Room or it's this like the more recent one is the Turbo Bear stuff, which I'm so upset because I was playing with that really early in the format. But if you run a max speed bear, it can outspeed Fluttermane once you set up your own Tailwind, but it's still pretty slow in the grand scheme of things. So what people have been running a lot is this Tail Room thing where you can either have your Ursaluna Blood Moon under Tailwind or Trick Room, and it still kills things, and it still outspeeds everything that doesn't have a booster speed on it. So that's really cool. You either see that kind of archetype or you see hard Trick Room with it. And this is just like, no, we're just going to tack it onto the side of a balance team and see what happens. And it turns out that's also really strong.
Apparently so. It took it all the way to first. So yeah, that is really, really fun to see. I think the to kind of piggyback off a point you made earlier, the meta for Reg F is we're definitely seeing standardizations across the board here. We're getting to the point where you look at the top 8 of a regional and you're like, wow, these all look just like Reg F teams.
Exactly, but they're not all the same.
But not at all.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's the key point here, because I think to your point, like it's nice that there are things that you can expect, but there are a lot of them, so there's still lots of options in the meta.
Exactly. It's actually getting pretty close to my favorite Series 12 in Sword and Shield, right? It's like there were a ton of archetypes you could run, but there were only so many. You knew what you could prep for. It's going to be enforced once we get restricted, which probably Reg G, but we're already kind of there, right? Like the pieces are so powerful now that they are kind of centralizing.
Yeah.
But if you look like, okay, so the obvious thing is obviously like Water Pawn and Fluttermane, right? There are 4 Fluttermanes, there are 4 Raging Bolts, and there are 6 Water Pawns in the top 8, right? Yep. The Water Pawn is really the thing. It's just so good. It invalidates Waterfoo. It has redirection. It can just suddenly decide that it wants to it wants to live your Fluttermane's attacks and OHKO it. It outspeeds Landorus and has super effective attacks onto it. So it's just, the bonk dead, the strongest special attacker that isn't Blood Moon in the format, I think, at this point. Yeah. And you get Spore redirection too. Like it's just so good. And it even works well into itself because like it doesn't let opposing Water Pawns click an Ivy Cudgel unless you're going to make a read, because it can follow me away and heal from it. It's not even immune.
Right. There's, I don't know that. Yeah. I will definitely for Orlando be tacking on a Water Ogerpon to a team and figuring out from there. Like start with that Pokemon and then move on maybe. But
I will say like the boring balance I'm playing right now, Incineroar, Amoonguss, Water Pawn, Fluttermane, like you can just bring those 4 to a bunch of matchups and be like, okay, like blind, this will be fine probably.
Okay, I was gonna comment on that because Victor Road always likes to place Pokemon in columns, right? And you can look at the top 8 at least, and maybe scroll down and see more of.
There's not a lot of Amoonguss, honestly. Like none in the top. There's one in the top 8. One in the top 8. Eric Rios had it, and he was 7th. And he was the highest placing Amoonguss. And then below that, you have one at 10th. 11th. It's not uncommon, right? It made the usage chart for day 2. But
I'm not seeing Amoonguss and Water Pond together.
It's you generally have two grass types, and not generally. It is acceptable to have two grass types. A lot
Sure.
of people opt for the Rillaboom over the Amoonguss, especially if they don't run Incineroar, which
Oh, okay,
you'll
I can
see
see
every
that.
team with a Rillaboom there is also lacking the Incineroar.
Yep.
But
Good point.
Amoonguss is just a tried and true amazing core. The scary thing now is, and this has been something I've been seeing on ladder a ton, is that Incineroar now gets knockoff. So which is, I don't know who was smoking what there. That's not okay. But now, so safety goggles Incineroar is like very common. So now you have Incin and Amoonguss facing each other down. I just played a game on Showdown where we both knocked off each other's Incineroars and then spored each other's Incineroars on turn one. I was like, are you kidding?
That's beautiful poetry.
Right? Yeah. I don't, war never changes. Like,
there's nothing new under the sun.
And then you just have two Amongus's and two sleeping Incineroars sitting there. Nobody can hurt anybody, and you're just like, do I swap out my Incineroar? What if they spore into that slot, waiting for me to swap something in? Do I? So you.
That's the ultimate mind game.
So you don't. So you both sit there and you hope to wake up, and you hope to parting shot out, or you hope to flare blitz the other one.
Yeah. And I need to jump on Showdown more. Yeah, that's wild. I love that for you. That's a good journey.
It's very silly, but yeah, it has been fun to learn from, and it's like there's a finite amount of things that can happen, so you can actually learn from game to game.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I think the other thing that you mentioned earlier is something that you don't hear a whole lot. Yeah, you don't hear a whole lot, especially in games like this, especially in Pokemon, even to be more precise. But you're enjoying and learning from even the losses a lot more than you have in the past.
Yeah, I that should be something you can do in any format, right? I think that
learn from, but also enjoy.
Yeah,
I think that's the key, right?
Well, I mean, okay, so we had some formats that were just super hyper offensive. Like I would say Reg D and E were incredibly hyper offensive. Like we were just suddenly gifted super tornadoes with Bleak Windstorm and Water Urshifu together, and it was just like, well, I'm gonna and then the best teams ended up running Choice Banded Harkonine with Rock Slide and Head Smash, and you're just like, so I'm just playing. And then you have Bleak Windstorm, and then they tack a Rillaboom on, so Chen Pao has to run Icicle Crash instead. And all of a sudden, like the best teams in the formats for the past two formats were super hyper offensive and super RNG focused, and just like the moves were so strong that you couldn't justify not running them if you wanted to run that kind of core. So like that didn't feel good. That felt like I guessed wrong, so I lost, or I rolled wrong, so I lost. And the answer is, like it should even out if you're making the right plays, but it still feels bad. And then before that, I think A, B, and C were really good formats, and I just wasn't used to Terra enough to like, or non-Dynamax really enough to like really learn from them. But those also felt so wide open that it was hard to learn from game to game. It was just like, okay, what like fresh hell am I going to run into like this game? It's going to be completely new, and I'm never going to see it again. Like that. That was definitely how a bunch of my like early regionals felt. Like there was no meta really.
Yeah, but now again, it's centralizing to the point where you know what you're gonna find.
Yeah, I see a team and I say like, I remember my lead the last time I played this team. I'm gonna lead the same way again and see how they play and see how it changes. And a lot of the times it's exactly the same, and that feels good. And like you're learning, you're getting better. That's the satisfaction in a competitive single player game is the idea that you're actually internalizing some of this and like taking it with you. No, and
taking away. Yes, correct. Taking away from the losses and then actually getting better,
because you don't have a mechanical skill level in this game. Like when I play a fighting game, it's really easy to like so when you Smash Bros is one of the worst games for this, because it's so fun to just play Smash that a lot of people will grind away and play Smash with their friends forever and never learn a thing because they're just enjoying the act of pressing buttons against each other. But the real way you get better at Smash is to pick something you're bad at, practice the hell out of it in a training mode room, and then start playing matches where all you do is try to do that thing a bunch against a real person. And eventually you get good at it enough that you don't have to think about it anymore. But there's no real counterpart to that in Pokemon. Like your hands never get better at this. So it's a lot harder to like get those endorphins from like, I'm actually better at this than I was a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Sure. I mean, like I think you said before, it's chess, right? It's not a Twitch shooter. It's not a fighting game. It's like no mechanical stuff. It's all thinking. It's all mental. It's all planning it out.
Chess, you can genuinely memorize stuff, which sometimes I'm jealous of, and sometimes it's like, this is the reason I don't play chess.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. There's a set number of board states chess can have. There's also a set number of board states Pokemon can have.
It's just significantly
much larger set,
and it changes every few months.
Yes. So you can memorize all of that if you I don't know, had nothing else in your head at all. So looking, let's glance over real quick the Dortmund top 8. Is there anything else you kind of want to touch on besides what we've already touched on?
Not really. I think that the like we're saying, the first place team is interesting. The adaptations to let Como continue to top cut are really cool. Otherwise, it's all pretty standard teams. I think Febsy bringing Tailwind, Meteor Beam, Glamora to top cut is really cool. That archetype is still real. It still hurts. It's scary. I can't bring myself to run it because Meteor Beam is 90% accurate and pain, but also most people protect it anyway, so it's just more of a free special attack boost. The other thing I think is really cool is Nick Schrott showing that Gouging Fire King Gambit is still a very powerful archetype. Although I don't know if you watched any of these. Nick got spectacularly lucky in a lot of these. Not to say, really? I mean, obviously he got to, you don't get to second place off of pure luck. It was just a couple of the matches that were on stream, but like he should really thank whatever higher power he may or may not believe in. Like he got some help from above on that one.
Mm-hmm. RNG on his side.
Yeah, our RNG just gave him a little hug that day.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done on this one.
So, I have a question, Rowan. You've missed the last couple of weeks of this podcast. Sheldon and I, over the past couple of weeks, have been having a discussion and then a continuation of a discussion on sort of the hack, check, genning, DQ stuff, and I wanted to just give you the opportunity to weigh in if you wanted to, because I know where you stand.
Okay, so obviously, for the record, I don't think genning is bad. I think that it lends you no advantage. It isn't a big deal. But so you have this kind of overlap of I'm not going to say pro. Most people don't make money off this game. You have very hardcore players, people who spend a lot of time prepping and practicing and running lines and all that. They spend all this time prepping, and then they take the act of getting their team very unseriously. And I agree, you shouldn't have to take it seriously. In an ideal world, you shouldn't. But you know that this stuff is getting taken seriously these days, right? And so all you have to do is be a little careful. It is not hard to gen a team. I'm not going to go into specifics because apparently you can get banned for that. Shout out to Kevin Michaels. But it is not difficult to gen a team that is undetectable. You just have to take a little bit of effort. Do not, like, it's admittedly, I'm in a privileged spot because I can do it myself and I don't need a sys bot, but like, it's really not difficult. Like, you can catch a legit mon and just modify it to be how you want it to be. You can get your 0 IV or whatever, and it's like, you can't prove that I didn't catch a 0 attack IV, 0 speed IV, or Saluna Blood Moon, or Enamorous Therian, or whatever. It came from Legends Arceus because I caught it there, and then I modified it to be how I want it to be. And that's just that. I don't know what to say. Like, I know that Len in particular got kind of screwed over this past weekend, like lost his Armor Rouge and Indeedee, I think, on a hard trick room team.
He
it was just like you're donezo at that point, right? Like, it's unfortunate. But I mean, I've seen what Kurt has, like, I don't like the way Caphonics talks about this stuff, but he does actually get the rentals from players and then load them into PK Hex and see what's wrong with these. Are they hacked? And the answer is all like, okay, so sometimes he's kind of in Cricketune and will be like, oh, you use PP ups on everything. This has to be hacked. Like, no, you can buy PP ups. That's not difficult. It's like, you can do that legitimately very easily. or like all of these mons are XL. There's no way like if you can catch XL mons, that's okay. But some of them are like there are trash bites in the name, or this was obviously from Assist Bot, or like you put the same original trainer on a Scarlet and a Violet exclusive, which is silly. Yeah, don't clone your mons for your friends. But it's a little harder. Like that's only really relevant if you and your friend are both going to make top cut, but it can happen.
Apparently,
right?
so yes.
Which has happened recently now. Yeah. So I mean, I think that running like these rules are stupid. You shouldn't have to worry about this stuff. This is why we're not a real esport. This is why we probably never will be. But if you're putting in so much work that you're actually making day 2, you're actually making top cut. Just spend 20 minutes and get your get a version of your team that can't be detected as gen, or build it. Like I'm not going to say that's bad either. Do it. Like I know plenty of top players who also genuinely build their teams. Like that, if you really want to be certain, that'll do it. Like, but if you're getting up to the buzzer, then just be smart about how you gen it. That's literally it.
Yeah, I think that's a very very. I agree. Like it shouldn't be the way that it is, but that is the way that it is.
And you're choosing to play this game anyway, alongside all the other reasons that maybe you should choose not to play this game, right? Like it barely runs. There's dice rolls everywhere and all that, but the core of it's really good. So just add this on the list of like stupid imperfections it has and deal with it. If you're willing to shrug off a loss because you missed Bleak Windstorm, you should be able to, shrug off that you got DQ'd because you were bad at genning and try again next time.
Sure. Yes. Yep. I think that's the take. I agree. All right. Are we gonna shelve Pokemon?
I think let's shelve Pokemon for a little bit. There's not a lot to say. The game's fun right now. I wish I had something better than that.
No. Okay. That's good. That's not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
Because I feel like there's been too much as of late, too much negative around this game.
And I am the first who will be negative. Like it's like I'm not afraid to Cricketune talk the things I enjoy. Like that is okay with me. It's just you also have to recognize when there's a reason why you do it in the first place.
Yep. No, that's very true. So I think fine, especially you saying the game's good, it's fun right now. That's a win. Let's chalk that up to the win column. We'll shelf Pokemon on that great note and move on to other fun games. Yeah. What else have you been playing?
So, I mean, it's kind of old news at this point. I don't really have a ton to say about it. Palworld has still been my primary alternate game right now. I'm finally okay. So I think like the big news on Twitter was that Palworld numbers were going down, and obviously, like what
they can only go down.
Active player numbers are going to peak, and then they will go down. I know it's technically a multiplayer, but it is not a live service game. It is not an MMO. It is a single player game with a finite amount of content. Once people play as much of it as they feel like they want to play, or all of it, which is a lot of people, they're done. That is it. I have really taken my time on this game. I'm still not at level cap, despite putting like 150 hours in, and granted, the first 30 of those were solo play that got tossed out the window. But like I'm at the point where I just need to level a little bit more, catch the legendaries, and that's kind of that. I've made my dream base. I've got the team of pals that I want until I replace them with hilariously overpowered legends. And that's kind of it. What else are you going to do? It's an early access game. It cost me $25.
Yeah.
And they will eventually release raids and PvP and new pals and new areas, and I will be back when those things happen. And I think it's a smashing success, but I'm kind of done with it now. So almost.
Yeah, that's fair. So to point out like numbers wise, like I'm just looking at top sellers, and it is still the number 4 slot.
Yeah, for active players, almost a month later, it's wild.
Well, the top sellers, I don't know how to quickly find active players, concurrent players. I'm sure there's a way. But like top sellers, the things that are above it are the Steam, or I guess in order from third to first, are Counter-Strike 2.
Yeah, okay. Which is the esport. I Counter-Strike is arguably bigger over the years than League of Legends. Like unreal. Yes. Anyway, continue.
There's so much money in Counter-Strike. Yeah. Number 2 place is Steam Deck.
Does not count. I'm sorry, that does not count. That's not a game.
it's not a game. Okay, it's a product on Steam. So
Sure.
okay, sure, but like the Steam Deck at a 350 like entry price is beating that. Okay, sure, it's not going to take $350 versus $30, right?
Right.
That's okay. Numbers do number things. And then Helldivers 2, which just came out and looks like
Helldivers 2 did not sell more than Palworld total, I don't think.
No, just current top sellers. Like what is being sold.
What is
right
currently
now.
selling the most? Oh, that's unreal. Okay.
Yes, that's why I'm saying.
Okay. I say in terms of total sales, I think it's just at the top.
No. Yeah,
I think it was like the biggest selling Steam game ever.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna research.
Maybe lower than Counter-Strike, but I think that might be it.
Yes, I think. Well, that's what it was for concurrent players for a while. Steam. So if I'm looking at SteamDB, charts, hold on. Okay, so all-time peak. That's not the number I thought it was. Okay, yeah, okay. All-time peak for Palworld was 2 million players at one time. 2.1 million players. That beats Counter-Strike 2 at 1.8 million players, but loses. The first place spot is still PUBG.
Yeah, okay,
at
sure.
3.2.
Yeah. Like it is on par with historic games, like games that PUBG invented MOBAs. It comes with it was Fortnite stole its lunch. Like that's where we're at right now, right?
True.
Like
and then
I think this like any tales of its demise are highly exaggerated. Like
sure.
We all knew this was going to happen.
For sure. And then to round that out, to currently right now, it is the number two top concurrent player base, whatever. But at a palsy 337,000 poultry. That's what I meant to say.
Palsy is a horrible disease.
yeah. Wrong word for them out there. Dude, it's been a day. I'm always tired when we record. I love this.
I've had a drink. I'm gonna poke fun at you. It's fine.
Oh, it's fine. I'm here for it. Poultry at a poultry, fowl, 337,000.
Right this second, yeah.
Right this moment, and then Counter-Strike 2 beats that at 507,000. Yeah. So like, cool. It's still doing great. It's not. It ain't going anywhere.
But yeah, I've definitely I've really gotten my money's worth out of this. I'm almost like I was at 150 hours the last time I checked, and I've
oh my gosh,
put in a few sessions since, and like I don't know if you got to see the new base that we have for the guild. Oh, it's beautiful.
Need to go play. So it is, I'm the exact opposite. I have not
walled
gotten
in.
My money's worth.
I put defensive walls on the like blue borderline of the circle.
Okay.
So literally, it is walled in as big as it can get, and then the largest possible metal square / rectangle building that you can put inside of a circle, and then it's 3 stories with staircases on each side on going up the 3 stories. Mm-hmm. Bottom floor, there's every type of farming and / like resource production thing you can have. Next floor is every type of production thing you can have, and the 3rd floor is entirely dedicated to breeding. There's 2 breeding farms, 2 pots for making cakes, a dozen incubators, large pal beds on every 4 large pal beds on the top floor, so that the 4 pals that are breeding can sleep and eat like immediately. It's just optimal. Like everyone's working, moving 5 feet to the side, shoving toasted berries into their mouth, and then continuing to work. No one gets stuck on anything because it's so wide open. Yeah. The staircases have they have triangular walls on the edges of the top, so that no pals try to cut corners and get stuck. They just like take the long route around and then go.
Oh, okay.
I'm so proud of it. I'm actually I've thought of some ways that it could have been bigger and stuff, but if you destroy a wall, if you destroy a supporting wall, then everything above falls. Just goes. So no, I'm happy with where it is.
That's so funny. I need to go check it out.
It's the Amazon warehouse of my dreams.
It's the most efficient That's pretty funny. I want you to guess how many play hours I have in
I'm gonna
Palworld.
go with 30.
Less than.
Stop it.
Ooh,
Cat
kitty cat.
scratching the counter. Scratching the carpet.
Cat scratch.
He's learned that he can get my attention that way, and then I'll play with him with the laser pointer. And now I can't play with him, or he'll learn bad habits.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. No, less than 30.
Less than.
I hear that. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, he's upset now.
So
20, 10,
higher.
11,
15. So I've not.
Well,
played...
you will have lots of resources to play with when we're all done. Like,
I'm gonna like.
You're just gonna have a solo world with like unlimited.
Y'all are gonna move on to like some other games. I'll be like, guys, and I've got so much stone.
Just bases full of depressed pals.
Oh, that's so sad. No, I need to play. I've been trying to get Becca to play as well, and that'll definitely open up more opportunities for me to play.
It's definitely fun to play with friends. Like I think that our schedules haven't super lined up, which is unfortunate because like playing against the big tower bosses as a team is actually a really fun time.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
like that sounds like that sounds like what the game would be like.
Yeah,
made.
It's actually as close to raids. Like you can kind of play it like a raid. I'm excited to see what their takes on raids are because you already have like really cool skill based combat in this game. I think that is super absent from Pokemon single player. But at a mechanical level because so you're fighting a boss and they have big telegraphed attacks. Like you can see he's charging his laser. He's about to fire in this direction, and you know that they can only know 3 moves, so you can you start to learn which animation means which move. And then you have to dodge roll. Some moves you can dodge roll, some moves you have to continuously sprint to get away from because they're continuous. And and then if they're targeting your pal, you can withdraw them. Like I've always wondered why in Pokemon, when you see the giant laser coming for your poor friend, why wouldn't you just pull him back into your ball until the laser's over? And the answer is they're really dumb, and you can just do that in Palworld. And it is actually like that is the strat.
That is a strat.
I have taken down big boss monsters that are like 5+ levels stronger than me by just dodging their huge attacks.
and returning your pals.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, it's there's they will not be able to ever escape the comparison to Pokemon, right?
And that's fine. I think they were banking on it. That's why. For sure. Probably chalk up most of their success to that if we're being honest with ourselves.
Pokemon with guns.
I think that Pokemon hopefully gets held to some of that comparison themselves, right? Like,
yes,
it got potentially leaked, that Worlds in 2026 will be in San Francisco, and that would be the first Gen 10 Worlds. I hope that Gen 10 is still early enough in development that they have time to incorporate things from other games.
The thing is,
new ideas.
You and I both know that it's if they are still early enough, they can incorporate some lessons learned from other games. At this point, it's the end of that opportunity. Like they have to rush at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is the thing, right? If it's less than 2 years from release date, then I actually hope that they are relatively far along, or this game is going to be garbage.
Yeah. There's a give and take there of all how that works, right? I do hope my response to that in Discord when we were talking about it was, "Ooh, Gen 10's going to be in California." Which is just silly, but I also that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, you can do cool things with it.
I'm
down from San Francisco. Like the city has some bad reputations for some things, but you know what? It's actually cheaper than Hawaii. It's cheaper than London.
Hawaii and London are so expensive.
Arguably cheaper than Tokyo as well. Like,
Yokohama is expensive. It's wild that the last couple of worlds.
It's generally how they do it. They'll go the regionals. They will cheap out aggressively, and then they will actually ball out for Worlds.
So much, and it's expensive to go to.
Yeah,
like for just a spectator to even go to, let alone players. who don't have travel allowance.
Yeah, that said, most of the times I go to San Francisco have been for work, so it would be cool to go for an actual vacation. So I might do 2026 Worlds as a spectator.
I'm game for that. You know, I would love to go to wait.
It's a good city to party in if you can afford the drinks.
Just 125? Yeah, it's 125.
No, this is 2026. Is San Francisco. We don't even know when 2025 is going to be.
Oh, good point. Okay, so yeah, because obviously we have Hawaii this year and then whatever's next year. Okay, good point.
Yeah, planning far out here.
Yeah.
But in terms of other games, so you're asking me like, what else am I playing? My current plan is when I bought this PS5, I bought it for Spider-Man, which ended up being kind of disappointing, which is upsetting. But it came with Final Fantasy 16 for free, which I still have not even booted up. So I think that might be the next thing on my list. I've only heard good things about Final Fantasy 16, and I've generally heard it's also very good for someone who's not as into Final Fantasy as a franchise. So I think that'll.
Yes, I've heard the same thing.
I think it'll be a good single player. I need to get my money's worth on this PS5.
Yeah, let me know how that goes because I'm very, very curious about that. As far as next big games go, that's on my lists, but it's probably like halfway down.
Right now, everybody's got their massive backlog.
Yeah, I don't have. Luckily I did not buy this game because that would definitely fall into the mistakes Harrison makes is to buy a game like I will play this and then not play it for like a year and see what happens.
So have you played any other games? Because from what I've heard, you've put in not that many hours on Palworld and you aren't playing Showdown. So what is...
Yeah.
Is it just real life or do you have other games?
Lots of real life. So
unfortunate.
It's
not
very...
not a good thing, yeah.
I wish I had less real life. Okay, but by real life, I do mean this past weekend was the first free weekend I had all year.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're a Renfest groupie.
Yeah. I was working the Ren Fair, which is fun. It's always fun. But it's bittersweet. I'm so happy it's over. That I have a free weekend. But that means like it's over. Boohoo. But also I did like yard work and chores around the house. Oh, real life. But as far as games are concerned, now that that's mostly over and I get to pick up consoles and play things again. I started Yakuza Like a Dragon because I want to play Infinite Wealth.
I'd heard good things about it.
Yeah, both those games are apparently amazing. And what little I've played of Like a Dragon so far, I can definitely see I'm going to get into it. It's all like really weird humor based on like, I don't want to say Japanese humor, but like it's set in Japan. It is a Japanese protagonist. And they have a lot of like interesting like cultural things woven in, and then humor. So I'm very excited about that. The combat is very interesting because it's like a weird blend of real time and turn based. So that's kind of cool. And then I've just heard such good things about Infinite Wealth that I really want to play that eventually. But I want to play this. This is like the first game of this. Like a Dragon's the first time we had that protagonist in a Yakuza game, so now I want to see like interested to him, and then you play him in the next game too. So we'll see. And then we just started literally right before this podcast recording Persona 3 Reload.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked about that. That's definitely the next big. I mean, those two games, those three games that I just mentioned, are large RPGs. So that's gonna just be killer for my time. But yeah, we'll. That'll be the next things that I talk about and look forward to playing.
So yeah, I've never gotten into like Persona or SMT. I've like generally only heard good things. I don't know. I also hear things that are like that are probably not deal breakers at all if the gameplay is fun, but like they're very. I hesitate to use certain words. They're very anime.
Oh yeah.
Not just in the aesthetic, but like school child dating sim kind of stuff.
It is that. And that's a very bittersweet part of the game because like so a couple years ago, I guess 2021, when we got the PS5, we actually one of the first big games we played on it was Persona 5 Royal.
Right.
Which was great. Fell in love with that game, and that really opened us up to the franchise. And Persona was one of those franchises where like I know I'll like it when I play it. I just have to actually play it. But we poured 160 hours into that game. completed it and beat a whole bunch of it, or did a bunch of like side stuff too. It was like a near perfect run through of the game, because we're like, we will not miss a thing. It'll be great. So there's, as far as like dating and stuff goes in the game, it's like the game is split up into two parts. You have the social link, school life. You have to be friends with people. Like you have to like do like some choice things that like whatever. And then you have like the RPG, go beat up shadows and monsters and SMT-esque things, part of the game. And then they feed into each other a little bit. You don't necessarily have to date anyone, because there are definitely weird implications. Like that I'm a
grown ass man role playing dating a high schooler. Yeah,
you're a grown ass man playing a high schooler who's dating either a high schooler or his teacher.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, you can. There's a bunch of options that are very weird. So you can totally skip that too. You don't have to go down those paths at all. You can just max out everyone's friendship.
Yes. You're only kind of selling this one. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, aside from that, it's amazing. It's so good. Like honestly, like all the individual characters, like storylines are really good, and at least P5R are really good. The whole like overarching story I think was really fun, and the combat is neat too, right? Because you just see these effective like Japanese yokai, mythological things ranging from a little goblin to Satan himself, right. Punching someone for you is like, ooh, that's really neat. And then of course, the fun thing about Persona 3 Reload is Persona 3 is the classic Persona game where it's
old, right?
It's like 2009, I think, or 6, one of those. But like the classic, you unlock your persona by shooting yourself in the head.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like a high schooler reading image boards when I heard about Persona, or SMT and Persona for the first time, I think.
Yes. And so that's fun. But the other thing too is, my understanding is, just like Fallout, the Persona series starts at number 3. You don't talk about 1 and 2 in Persona.
They literally don't exist, so they're bad.
They're bad.
Okay.
Like it's like a completely different game. Like it's just not worth going back to. I'm sure for like if you're a video game historian and you really want to experience it, sure. But if you want what Persona is right now and moving forward, you're gonna start with 3.
Okay.
Or 5, and then same for Fallout, I guess. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited about those. Those will be my next big things to dive into and blather about here on a podcast the next few months.
Yeah. Excited to hear about it. Just put aside some time to practice for Orlando.
Yes, I need to do that. You're very right. I need to look at. So okay, we'll dive back into Pokemon for just a moment. Looking into some of these Reg F teams that we're seeing a lot, that are doing well and top cutting and whatnot, like it's gonna be easy for me to pick a team that like
Absolutely.
This looks fun,
yeah,
and take a version
one
of it
you
and
like,
go.
And then you queue up on best of 3 ladder and you play a set and
fine tune from there.
Either they're really bad because it's the bottom of ladder, or they know what they're doing and they bonk you, and you figure out why they bonked you and you take it from there.
Yeah, that's like what's the word for that? You just described it so well. Oh, practicing. Yeah, that's what I should do. But I think that's a podcast.
I think so too. We can call it that.
That was good. That was fun discussions. All right, so that's it. We already talked about other video games, so I don't have to ask that. But in the interim, I will say thank you to RobKTA for the use for theme song Goldenrod Game Corner off the Ultraball album. Tongue-tied. I've been Harrison. You can find me at row_ixon on all the planes that are important. Sheldon. Rowan, who are you?
I'm Rowan. I don't really do content anymore, but you can find me on Twitter, Rowan W. Hall. That's pretty much it.
And together we've been the Game Corner. You can find us at Game Corner VGC. You can find everything we do down below. I just realized that I am a big fat liar. I said last week, and I mentioned it, I even mentioned it in our discussion about topics for this podcast, that we were going to go over some of the engagement stuff we've said before, and we did not and we're out of time. So I'm not going to bring it up.
Next week.
Next week, when we have all three of us on here, we'll go over some of the engagement stuff that we've had. So in case you don't know, listeners, watchers, in every Spotify normal podcast, I put a question on there. If you want to go ahead and answer that, that'd be great. Just kind of a little bit of fun post-podcast discussion we can have. Of course, we have the comment section if you watch on YouTube down below. And every so often when it comes to mind and I'm not just enjoying talking with some good internet friends of mine, we'll ask you guys a question too. And I don't have one for this week, so just say hi or something. This is me saying hi. Say hi in the comments, it'll be fun. But we'll go over all of that fun stuff. We have just a couple of things I think would be worth looking at and kind of reacting to because that's, I don't know, probably the least we can do for stuff like that. I don't know. But yeah, the moral of the story is all that stuff is down below in the link tree. So go check us out. But until next time, press start and game on. Bye.